Hello, everybody. Good evening and welcome to the United Stand. You're live with us tonight. Please try and keep it respectful. Look, there's 2 videos on the channel today. No monetization, no comments on it. They are statement videos of where we are in relation to this situation with Mason Greenwood. We are not going to be talking about that in any depth tonight. We are talking about this from a football point of view, whether we need to get a transfer replacement in. We'll be talking about Zakaria to Juventus, the last day of the transfer window. Donny, should Martial have been let go? Can we even get him back? We're dealing with Manchester United Football Club tonight. If you want to watch the 2 videos about what the serious ramifications are for the club in relation to the law and what's going on, there's 2 videos, one this morning and one from half an hour ago. We're not ignoring it. It's just that it's very difficult to talk about it when we're getting passionate about things because we don't want to say things that incriminate ourselves or anybody else. And I know a lot of people are using the name of the victim. That should stop as well. Because as somebody quite rightly said today, that this is a police investigation now and there are protections measures that can be put in place for her. So very serious matter. We're fully aware of it, but we're going to try and do a bit of a football show tonight. And we're going to speak about, we are going to talk about Mason Greenwood. Adam, welcome to the show.
John, pleasure, mate, as always. Wish it was better circumstances, but that's it. Carry on.
Look, the girl and as I said this afternoon, anybody else who's in this situation, please make those phone calls because the amount of support out there today is very empowering, and you shouldn't need to suffer and be scared. She's now getting the support that hopefully she will take from the police and everything like that, and all the other fantastic organisations out there for abuse. And football will carry on. It's a very, very sad day for everybody when these sort of things happen. This is the world we live in, though, and the important thing is that it is out there. The worst thing in the world would be that it just kept being hidden. So it is out there. Let's see what happens. Let the judicial system, an investigation process take its course. Football will continue. There's a game on Friday. You're going to be there, Adam. We're going to be covering it. There's a transfer deadline day tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Donny's gone to Everton. We spoke about that this afternoon. Martial's gone to Sevilla. From a completely football point of view, we know that Mason Greenwood is not going to be playing for Manchester United for the foreseeable. Some might predict that might be for a very, very long time. We are in a top 4 race. I fully respect people going, look, I don't really want to talk about it. If you don't want to talk about football, that's absolutely fine. We are going to talk about football. How bad a situation does this leave Manchester United in a football context? Because is there, Ousmane Dembele has been mentioned. I know we've laughed about that this afternoon, but when you suddenly realise that it's not just Martial gone. It's not just Donny gone. There's still talk that Lingard might go. I mean, do you keep Lingard? With Mason Greenwood out for who knows how long, and I think it's always best to predict it's going to be a longer period of time rather than a shorter period of time. For example, we know in February we've got, 7-8 games? Yeah. And that's it across 4 weeks. Would you be looking as a football club to, I know we want a midfielder, but this is very much an attacking situation. You've got Cavani, Ronaldo, Rashford, Elanga, 4 for 3 spots, and we're now going to keep a player in Lingard that's not happy. Should we be looking to get something?
Do you say Sancho then as well?
I always forget Sancho. I'm terrible. I really like Sancho, and people in the chat are going mad. This is not my fault. I forget Sancho. Everybody, this is the fact that we spent £74 million on a player and we don't bloody pick him. We have got Sancho as well. So yeah, that's another player.
Yeah, another player out of the team for personal reasons. My God, I tell you what, we've got some issues behind the scenes at this club. But in terms of what we've got on the pitch, you mentioned the forward line there, mate. And then we laughed and joked about Phil Jones leaving before. And I'm thinking, centre-backs is looking a bit sparse as well. When one of them gets an injury, I'm thinking, Christ, that's not an easy fix either. Midfield speaks for itself. We've covered that in abundance. But the only way out of this, mate, I see is youth players being integrated through into the team. Now, some will say that's actually good, and it is. We've sort of been forced into the old United way of actually bringing our own through. And do you know what? Rangnick may prefer that. Less hassle, less to deal with. Can just get his tactics across on a training ground a lot easier with the younger lads. And not like Elanga, he comes in, he's listened. Rangnick talks about that continuously, saying he listens and he does what I ask him to do on the pitch. If he gets another 2 or 3 within that squad, and there's a few of them working together, maybe we'll see some of the so-called potential that we've all seen in the under-23s come through and help us this season. But I'm thinking Cavani, not injury, proven. It's not been great this season for him. That's been clear. Can't rely on him. Ronaldo is Ronaldo. He's a machine, and his injury record is quite decent. But You never know. Could be targeted by anyone going forward. It's a big name to take down. Ronaldo, he will be targeted wherever he can be. And then you're relying on Sancho, who's still finding his feet. Alanga, who's just come into the team. Rashford, who is sort of just about clinging on to a bit of life in terms of his form again. And a big worry, because it's not really looking like we've got informed players there at our club who we know we can rely on in the Middlesbrough game, the Burnley game, whichever game you want to say coming up. And especially that Champions League game, mate, against Atletico, because you can imagine the mood of the place if we go out of that with a whimper as well. It's going to be a difficult place to be around. The fan base is going to be down. There'll probably be in-house arguments again, like there always is when something bad happens on the pitch. But all in all, you look at it as well, mate, it could rejuvenate us. It could bring a togetherness. It could bring a backs against the wall, United against the world sort of mentality into it. And if we do bring youth players into our team now, then it may be the breath of fresh air that we need. I know it could all go completely wrong as well. I'm not ignoring that. There is a lot of pressure on these players coming through, but I wouldn't be keeping Lingard to answer that question. He's gone for me for what he's been putting out there and what he's let come out there from his other people, his family and everyone else. Gone. Forget it. See you later. Juan Mata, does he come into the equation at any point, mate? Now, do we find a spot for him? Do we utilise what we've actually got there? Because we spoke earlier on, mate, that bench is looking rather weak all of a sudden compared to how we said it was. We've never been able to utilise our squad properly anyway. So with Rangnick in charge now and the system that he's putting in place, would it actually play in our favour if he had younger players coming on who are actually going to listen to the system and are integrated into the system straight away and don't have any bad habits like some of the older players have under Ole? I'm just trying to look at it on a positive slant, but it is going to be difficult for starters, mate. I'm looking at it going, Middlesbrough, Burnley, probably not the worst games to be having coming back from this mess, sort of. And I know that could trip me up as well, and we could end up flat on our faces with that. But on paper, I'm looking at that going, we should be able to deal with Middlesbrough. We'd be playing a sort of weakenish sort of team anyway against them, I would have thought. Doesn't have to be full-blooded. Take them seriously, but you know what I mean? A couple of changes here and there. Burnley away, we've got an excellent record at Turf Moor. I don't see that changing. And let's not forget, Paul Pogba's back to fitness. Does he slot into a system further forward as well, mate? So it's not the end of the world. It's not what we need. And I don't think we're going to buy anyone, but I don't think we should change our plans in terms of who's going. I honestly think we've got enough there still, but they are going to have to step up, mate.
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of what you said there. Apparently, PSG and Dembele. Now, Gog, I don't know whether you got that mixed up. He's on about Dembele to PSG, but I know they want Dembele as well. I mean, look, whether that's true or not, I'd be quite happy with that. I would not. We spoke about this before. I would not bring Ousmane Dembele in because I think, regardless of how much crisis we're in at the moment, he's still injury prone. You know, I said when we bought Cavani, he's injury prone, and Cavani's been a decent signing for us, but he's still injury prone. And there's a difference, though. You know, Cavani's 34, and I think Dembele's 23. So it's just a very short-term problem. The Mason Greenwood problem is a short-term problem that could become a very long-term problem, as we're aware. But this is a short-term problem for Manchester United. We will get to the summer, and you know, maybe Martial going is a bit of a problem because we did. You know, I think if Martial was looking to go tomorrow, United might have a chat with him and say, "Look, we're in the shit. Can you stay?" And he still might say, "I want to go anyway." So Martial wanted to go. I understand that. Ahmad's gone to Rangers. He needs first team time. You've got Ronaldo, Rashford, Sancho, Alanga, Cavani, and Mabry can do that job as well. I think we're a bit short. For me, if we were going to sign anyone, I'd still go for the midfielder, which we'll talk about, obviously, Zakaria and that in a moment. But I wouldn't bring a winger in. We're not prepared to bring a winger in. We've been hit by a very shocking last few hours, and I'm sure it's shocking for United. I think sometimes the worst thing you can do is go and make a really rash, sort of crazy, sort of a Gallo sort of decision that actually makes no sense. Who are you going to get of that quality? And look, we were talking about this before we went live. How do you phrase this? Because it's very difficult. You phrase it in a football way. And a couple of weeks ago, we had Mason Greenwood as part of this team with Anthony Martial and everything, and now we don't. And we saw what Anthony Martial did against West Ham, and we've seen what Mason Greenwood could do. They're very, very good footballers who I would rather have options like that. But for two very different reasons, we don't. And that doesn't mean that we can replace that talent. We can't. And if we're going to have to replace that talent, I would rather we looked at a longer term solution than chucking a short term solution in, like a Dembele, who then you might have to give him a contract to. And, you know, there might be a young lad like, and you've said we could use Pogba on the wing as well if we need to. I think we just go with what we've got and hope that brings some, you know, Sancho starts playing regularly, might be what he needs. Rashford becoming more reliant from a position of where people were saying, well, I don't even know if he's good enough. Give them that opportunity because there's, like you said, centre backs, midfield. There's a lot of it. It's not like, oh shit, we've lost a couple of wingers, we're in trouble. There's a lot of areas of that team that might be in trouble, and it might just be what it needs to sort of galvanise itself. So I agree. I'd stick with what we've got.
100%, mate. Because it's like you said it. I said it then, and I'm not just sitting throwing it out there in hope. Big moments and things happen within a season, within life, and it can change a mindset. It can bring a unity. It can actually change a player's score. You just mentioned Rashford there. All of a sudden, he's gone from being probably, with the fan base, one of the worst players in the team, completely out of form. He's been getting hate consistently. Now we need him. And now he knows his club need him. It could change the mind completely. He'd be looking at this and going, wow, do you know what? I can't believe this has actually happened. I'm sure a lot of the players in what they're looking at right now are going, wow, like, and they will feel the sort of trepidation, they will feel the fear within the club right now. And you just hope that they use it and they sort of bring themselves together as a team and go forward, because we've got enough players there. We're just all of them out of form. We were just seeing a little bit of consistency with a couple of players over a couple of games. And it's like, you'll see your leaders now. We've always said, look, where are the leaders in this football team? Who is going to stand up? Well, we're about to find them, because right now the club is the lowest it's been that I have ever lived through. This is the lowest it's ever been. Within the fans and the fans I speak to, and then this on top of what's happened, everyone who's leaving. Rangnick is doing a great job for what he's dealing with right now. And he's going to need some players on that pitch to stand up for him. I believe that we are going to find the people who want to be at Manchester United over this next couple of weeks. I think it will start from this moment. It could die from this moment, the season. But I think, personally, we will be rejuvenated and our season will really kick into gear now. And everyone will say, you overly optimistic, Adam, and you're just clutching at straws there. But I've seen what all of these players can do. And certain things and moments can bring you together. And I do believe that the players will look at this and go, right, that's it. We cannot let this club go down while we're here. And it's just going to be a case of who's going to stand up, who wants it. And there will be players in this team. There's players in this team. We've all seen them. And we'll find them. We'll find out. We'll find out a lot about these players over the next few weeks. But I'm not overly concerned. I would not panic buy. We don't need anyone else. You said it then, and I totally agree with it, Mark. Long term, which means the summer for me. I said this before the window even opened on this show. I said I'd rather wait and get the right midfielder in the summer than bring someone else in now who the new manager in the summer might not want, and we could have another Donny situation all on our hands again. So, yeah, go with what we've got, mate. I think we've got enough to see us through this season. There's quality all over it. And Martial wasn't playing, Donny wasn't playing, Lingard wasn't playing. Everyone's saying, oh, we're short on numbers. Well, how many games have them three together done this season? It's not like we missed them the first half of the season. So unless we get an injury crisis, Alanga's come on the scene as well now. Let's not forget that. He's another player in. It's not all doom and gloom in terms of the squad and the depth. I know we've got our issues, but I think just integrate a young player, could be Hannibal like he says he wants to do. There's others there as well. There's other players in that youth system that can come in and help us out. And I think this has probably forced our hand in a way that we will see a lot of what we used to be about this, at this football club. A few experienced, great players, integrating some younger players in. And I think the senior players will take it upon themselves now after what's happened. You naturally do, don't you, as a human? I would feel like I would have to sort of put an arm around certain players now and all come together. Surely we've got enough about us.
I mean, look, in relation to Ronaldo, and I'm not associating this to anything other than the fact that we need leadership. And, you know, you would hope that any resistance there has been towards Cristiano Ronaldo. I disagree with you. We'll talk about the midfield situation in a minute because I disagree with you. I think we should have brought a player in, but we can talk about that in a minute. But what I do agree with is that I said this a couple of weeks ago with no knowledge about some of the things that was going to happen in the next couple of weeks. That I think this is the worst position we've been in since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. I think this is definitely the worst position we've been in a very long time. We're fighting for fourth. The stuff that's happened today, the dressing room unrest, the performances, sacking your manager, the lack of quality in certain areas. We're in a right bloody mess. And I think if those players in that club are still holding on to their little cliques of, whatever those cliques are, now is the time, in a very difficult time, to stop pretending that you're a leader and actually let the guy who can lead. And I look around that dressing room and I think there's one player in that dressing room that's probably one of the best leaders and most experienced people in world football, and that's Cristiano Ronaldo. And I think any of the young lads, even the Harry Maguires, have just got to go, look, what are we going to do? And trust him for the next few months, because I think people like that are going to be very, very important, because I think we need that. We do need that siege mentality in relation to football, and the players need to, it's like they need to lock off what's happened today. They need to lock it away and forget about that situation. And I think footballers can be quite good at that. I remember speaking to Paul Ince about that, and I said, he said, look, when you leave a club, they're not all ringing you up like they were the week before, because you play for Inter Milan now. You don't play for Manchester United. And I think United players can and will lock this down and go, look, this is what we've got. This is what we go with. And that to me is why I wouldn't keep Lingard. A lot of people are saying keep Lingard now. And I'm like, in a way, is that not letting Lingard get his way? He doesn't want to be here.
No.
And we've seen what his brother did at the weekend, which, I understand he wants to go. Well, don't go and change your mind now. Like, get him out, because if you want to bring unity and togetherness, I wouldn't keep a player that's been a bit, I want to get out. And the same with Henderson. Apparently, they want him on loan at Newcastle. They're two deals that I would do in the next 24 hours, very, very quickly.
You're not going to miss them players, mate. That's the thing. You're going to be in a position where you was before. It's no change. It's exactly how it was. So why would you take a risk on not getting rid of a player that is a big problem? Lingard's gone. I think we all know that. The amount of pictures that we've seen from his socials or his family socials with West Ham shirts on or whatever have just been absolutely ridiculous. It's a chance now. And one thing the fans will realise, mate, is the players must know that the fans are going to pick up on this now, because we're the ones who have been cheating. You know what I mean? I was literally singing certain players' name only 2 weeks ago. To be then sort of let down the position we're in now, these players will know that the fans are looking for a reaction from the rest of the team now. They will be looking at it going, we can't let these fans down. We've already dealt with everything. I mean, roll off reel after reel after reel of issues and problems that this football club has been going through over the last few weeks. And now's a chance, just to, like you said then, do it on the pitch and take the pressure off what's going on off the pitch. Actually stand up and play as a team. Forget your little cliques. Forget all of that crap. It looks like the ringleaders for the problems are sort of being weaned out of the club. Yeah. And for me, we just need to carry on with that plan. We need to back Rangnick and his plan and what he wants to do, and let him do his work, because it was working before, just about getting through. Do you know what I mean? One defeat out of the 10 or 11 games that he's had. I know it wasn't great opposition, but he's doing an all right job considering what he's dealing with behind the scenes. So the players just need to step it up. They've had the break now. Come back. Let's show what we're made of. And I do know that for the fans that I talk to outside the ground, they're waiting for someone to step up. They're waiting for the reactions. And the players will know. The players will know the fans are waiting, and we want to see how we carry on from this mess. And I think it will bring it together, mate. I do. I think it will sort of unify the squad. If it doesn't, then God help them. Nothing's going to help this team. It really won't. So for me, I'm not overly concerned about what's left. Like I said, definitely Lingard, forget that. He's a problem that needed dealing with in the summer. We've not dealt with it, but the opportunity's here now. It's something we don't have to worry about. It was a worry before all the news that broke this weekend. Let's just take that off the table, remove it, and let's just take little bits away. Henderson, the same again. I agree with you, Matt. Let that go. Not going to be missed. Not contributed at all season. Why are you there? Why are you here? Because people will say, oh, it's the squad game. You know what I mean? They contribute in training or they help the squad. Well, clearly not, because we've got that many fractious relationships behind the scene. This could be the best way for us. And if anyone else is coming in, it's a young player. He's going to listen. He's going to look up to the players that are in this squad. There's going to be, I just think that has to be the way to go. I wouldn't bring anyone else in now. Definitely not panic buy, because there is no one out there for me, mate. There's no one out there. So why do it? It's ridiculous if we did.
I love this comment from Michael, because I think this was going to come back to Adam with anyway, is that, generational talent is something I shouted it many times when Greenwood scored goals. And I also said that, when people wanted Haaland in the summer and Ronaldo and Cavani will be gone and Ronaldo will be a year older, I was like, well, this is the lad that I think's a striker. And this is the lad that I think is going to be, anything he wants to be on the football pitch and solve our problem. Now, clearly that might very much looking like tonight, that problem will not be solved by that particular player. We will see justice, the judicial process will take its course, and we will see. There's no point speculating. We will see what happens. That is a long-term problem that we thought we might have solved, that we might not have solved. So why would you not solve it in a long-term way? And maybe it is Haaland's now. Maybe it's somebody different. Maybe it's Charlie McNeil from the youth setup. But it's a long-term solution. And I think we've got to, not just because of today's events. I think we've been talking about this for a while, Adam. I felt under Ollie, this cultural reset bollocks was bollocks. And yet they hid behind it for 3 years. And it goes to the top of the club. I said today, people were getting things mixed up today. When I saw about the club today on Twitter, I wasn't necessarily talking about what's going on today, because it's transfer deadline day tomorrow as well. And I was saying, it's a shambles at the top, so it's a shambles at the bottom. We lack leadership throughout that whole club. We lack an identity throughout the whole club, because it's not about football, it's about money. For probably the first time, they actually need to break it down and start and build it up again. And to do that, you've got to remove sweep it out, everything that's negative or an issue. And, people saying, well, give Lingard a run. To do that, what's the point? He's out of contract in the summer. What is the point in saying to Jesse, stay and be part of the next few months? Because he'd probably quite rightly say, well, give me the contract I want. Are you going to give him the contract he wants? He's barely played for the club in 2 years. His only good form has been at West Ham. Literally, because he came off the bench for us and scored at West Ham. So, it's like you can't give him a contract. So why would you give him 4 months and go, oh, this has happened in the news today, we need you? He goes to Newcastle and he goes. All right, that's a short-term problem and it solves it today. But in the long run, you'll be better off taking a long-term approach to this. And I think that is what the club has got to do. They've got to look long-term, and there's no easy answer because, instead of having a potentially very good player to solve our striking issues over the next 10 years, that might be gone. But you know what? That's life. John Lennon said it. Life's what happens when you're busy making other plans. And look, these things happen. And we've got to be, as a football club, we can't feel sorry for ourselves. I said it today. The truth will set you free. We've hit it head on. We need to keep doing that in all aspects of that football club. Because if we're truthful about the stadium, the squad, the ownership, and we actually... That's how we're going to get better. For too long, we just hide away and pretend everything's okay.
Yeah, that is exactly it, mate. We have just built on poor foundation after poor foundation with every manager that's coming after the next. Now we've actually got a manager who isn't looking to fix a problem. It's like having that house that keeps having a problem and then you fix it. You put in something new into the house, but the foundation still making everything falter. Rangnick's actually dissecting that house and we're building a new one from scratch. That's what it is. You're going to start building it slowly. Like you said, long-term plan. Make sure your foundations are right. Get everything in place. Build the team. Build the club. Rebuild the club around the people that need to be in place. That goes upstairs. That goes to the pitch. That goes to the coaching staff. Everything. Make sure it's all right, and then put these nice little fancy pieces in. It's all right putting a grand piano into a house, but if it's a house that's falling down, it's not really going to look that good. You know what I mean? So I'm looking at Van Gaal signings, crazy scattergun transfer market. And the biggest thing about all of this now, and a lot has happened this year, Mark, is Ed Woodward's gone now, who was the main culprit for some of this scattergun buying, the big marquee signings. He's gone. We're getting rid of some of these players that were brought in under his tenure now. These are going out of the club. And problem after problem after problem that we've got, we're seeing them sort of just leave. There's opinions on if they were really a problem or not, but the reality is they're causing a problem right now. Take them out of the way, like you said. Reset button. You go again. You look at it in the long term. You said then Charlie McNeil. I would love to see Charlie McNeil come through and play alongside a Ronaldo. I'll learn from Ronaldo on the training ground for a bit. He's not ready yet. He's nowhere near ready yet. But in the long term, he could be fantastic. Why aren't United finding these young players that everyone's after that are worth fortunes? Where's our Haaland? Where's our Bellingham? We used to be the ones that brought these through. Let's look at the foundation as our youth setup. You know what I mean? Why not put our money and our efforts into that? Why don't we do what these other clubs are doing that we're stealing the players off? We're Man United. We shouldn't have to just go out and buy the next best player. We should be making the next best player. That's what we used to do. And for me, I think we're in a position to do that now. By default, it's thrown us into it. But this is what I think it should be right now. I don't want that marquee signing anymore. It's not worked, and we're seeing problems from it consistently. And Rangnick is dealing with past managers' issues and quick fixes. We've still got players that were playing under Sir Alex Ferguson in this squad. Yeah, granted, one of them is our best player in David De Gea. One of them we brought back in Ronaldo, and Pink Boots is the other. So, and if he goes, then we do look like we're finally sort of moving on. You said it then, Matt. We're clinging on to what it used to be. It's gone. The blueprints need changing. You need to get with the times. And there's an opportunity right now, like you said, just clear it all up, truth's out, deal with it, and let's move on from here. It's a perfect opportunity to start building the new foundations because we're not going to win the league this year. Maybe we'll get into the top four. And we'll look at the next season. We know there's a new manager coming in. So instead of looking at salvaging what we can this season, which still won't be enough, why not make that mistake again and look past that and think, let's change it this time and not actually go crazy because we need a player. We've lost 3 or 4 players and we lost one that we didn't expect to lose. We've got to go and buy someone. No, we don't. We don't need to buy someone. There's always a way out of it, and we've got enough in this squad to deal with it. So, yeah, the old ways have to change. And I do believe that we're in the right position now to do it. Like I said, that Ed Woodward not being there, what's just happened, all the players that are leaving, I do think that it's a perfect opportunity right now. And I'm looking at it as a sort of fresh start. It is like a total reset, and it has to be that, mate.
It is. It's a mindset, isn't it? I think some United fans are probably still in denial that we started this season talking about a title race, and I left that behind in October, and I felt that we were bloody miles off, and it was going to take.
I left it after the Villa game.
Yeah. And I think some people think we're still probably capable just because we've got people like Ronaldo. We're not. We're miles away, and we need to. It's a cultural reset, and I hate that because that's what they said happened under Ollie, and I don't know whether it actually can happen with the ownership and board that we've got. The board and owners are so corporate that they don't have that connection with the players. There isn't that connection like other clubs have. It's a corporate connection, and it isolates. I also think that we overpay on wages, and that in itself creates its own problems because players become lax and comfortable. Players need to be put on their toes. And we spoke about Klopp this afternoon. We spoke about Sir Alex. Like, there needs to be accountability and fear in that squad, and I don't sense that there is. You know, that we've had players in the last few weeks coming out doing interviews when they're playing absolutely shit this season, and they're talking to you about, like, you know, about leadership and, you know, this, that, and the other. And well, I'm talking about Marcus Rashford and Harry Maguire. Let's be honest, that's what I'm talking about. And they've not had good seasons, and yet they sit and talk and they reel out the answers, which they're trained to do. But I don't see any fear in their eyes. And you definitely saw that fear in the eyes of Gary Neville, Paul Scholes, Roy Keane, you know, Andy Cole, when they were talking afterwards. There's a lack of fear in their eyes, and people say, well, that's a good thing. It's not. You know, fear of losing your place, fear of not playing for this football club. You see it at Liverpool, you see it at Man City. That you know, if you're Phil Foden or you're Jack Grealish, you don't know. You might be able to get that team for 3 months. You know, Riyad Mahrez can come and take your spot. Bernardo Silva. There's a lack of fear. There's a lack of chemistry, and you know, it may not be achievable at United to solve it. I mean, it's got nothing to do with what's happened today, by the way. I want to keep reiterating that. That's not I'm not saying this is a reason for what's happened today. What I'm talking about is the reason of why we've been like this since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And look, new owners with passion for the football club who are interested in winning on the pitch, and a manager in the mould of a Sir Alex Ferguson, a Jurgen Klopp, a Pep Guardiola. You know, somebody who is going to demand respect and instill fear into that team. And you instill fear into the team by getting rid of the cliques, getting rid of the favouritism. You know, Ollie had a big part to play in where we are as a football team, because he picked favourites all the time. And that, you know, those favourites became very inconsistent. It's not impossible, but it's going to be a long-term thing. And I think that's why thrashing around at the end of the window for a winger, because, you know, Greenwood might not be playing for a while, is a mistake. Keeping Jesse Lingard because you were going to let him go, you're just trying to get a bit of money, oh, please stay now, would be a mistake. You know, trying to get Martial or Ahmed back would be a mistake. Those decisions were made, and probably made for the right reasons, for numerous reasons. So we go with what we've got. And if it's not good enough, Adam, which it might not be, we hope it is, but if it's not good enough, you look at that in the summer and go, right, long term, there's quite a lot of things I need to change here.
Yeah, in a way, if it doesn't work out for us, then at least we know what we really need in the summer. And that would then look like we actually got a plan. So, I mean, there's nothing you can fix in January in terms of going into that transfer market that's going to make anything different to a point where we need to be. And let's be honest, we need to be up there competing. That's not going to happen in a January transfer window. Look at it, like you said before, look at it long term. This season is a good chance to see what we've got right now. We know we're going to be losing Cavani again in the summer. There's one player gone. We have got a lot of room. And what a lot of room does on a big chunk of cash to actually set up maybe a new wage structure with certain signings under the new regime. If we're going to see these players now who aren't good enough, that isn't going to be good enough for United to compete in the areas on the pitch. And I think we will know come April. I think we'll already start knowing who we need to start looking at to bring in. And maybe this is the chance, and this is the new way that we need to start looking at it. I mean, I'm all for, and we talked about what we were doing with the likes of Donny and Lingard and why we weren't succumbing to the deals that were offered to us from the clubs that want them straight away. It's like beforehand we did that. And it was like, oh, United, no value. I'm just like, we couldn't sell a player for decent money to save our lives. We lost so much money in every deal. But now all of a sudden we've got rid of Donny, all his wages are gone, and we've got a loan fee. Good news. We did it with Dan James in the summer. We doubled his money. Good. That looks like a club that actually knows what it's doing in a transfer. If we didn't buy anyone this January, I would look at that and go, that's a club that's not jumping in and worrying and just going scattergun. I think they've looked at it and gone, we're better without anyone else coming in right now. And it may upset a lot of people because everyone's all of a sudden got used to United and these marquee signings. Well, what have they won us? They've won us absolutely nothing. It's not worked. And the opportunity is there now to restructure everything. And if it isn't good enough, like you said, Mark, at the end of the season, we don't make top four, then, okay, the players that aren't happy with playing Europa League next season, out you go. See you later. And we start building from there, because that's the only way we're going to be able to change the tactic. We're going to be able to change what's happened before. we went out and thought bringing in the big names was what was going to get us the trophy. We got the big name manager in Jose, big name players in Pogba, Zlatan. Yeah, we won a couple of trophies with Jose, but long-term wise, we always sort of knew that Jose was a quick fix manager. Right now, we've got actual time left this season to actually look at it proper and start planning properly. And this is like the next manager coming in. This is the players that we're going to see are good enough or not in the next few months. And from that, you should be able to start building your plan for the summer properly and go into the summer knowing exactly what you want and what you need. And then you go from there, because pressure will be on this summer. There'll be a shorter transfer window, shorter pre-season. So I think right now we should be looking ahead and going, right, okay, we need this, we need that. And that will start to show even more as this season goes on. I think we all know we need the midfield sorting, but you may see someone come out from the pack that you didn't expect amidst all of this. And because, like you said, Sancho may get more game time, we could find the perfect position for Sancho. Rashford may adapt to this a little bit better. And then you're looking at, all right, maybe the younger players can cover for them too. But ideally, we need to go out and spend the majority of our money in the summer on that midfield, because that is seriously where we're being let down this season. It'll all come out there. And if it's not good enough, it's not good enough, mate. But that's just a situation we're in. In a way, long-term, it may help us. We just have to take that short-term loss for the long-term game, mate. I think that's what this season is all about now. But don't be surprised, and I'm not ruling out something actually still happening this season for us. Maybe FA Cup or a surprise run in the Champions League.
Well, February's not a bad month. You know, it's not a bad month. There's a momentum there where if you go into it with this siege mentality, it's not a bad month. On paper, it's not a bad
turn around.
It's the sort of month we look at for the last 8 years and go, on paper, we should take 15 points. But, you know, we have got a different manager now. A lot of people talking about Rangnick there. We'll come back to this because I think for the first time, probably on our live show, I feel comfortable to actually speak about this because it's a Simon Stone tweet and it's on the BBC. So it's not good. I warn you, it's going to be about Mason Greenwood and these serious allegations. But I think for the last day, all day, Adam, we've spoken about it quite a bit and had to do it in a very, and still have to do it in a very professional way because it's going through a judicial process. But this is the first time from a credible outlet that we've had quite a big statement. So Simon Stone has tweeted it. This is an article on the BBC. And I used to work in this. I do find it quite strange that the names come out, but it says Mason Greenwood, Manchester United player arrested over rape claim. Manchester United footballer Mason Greenwood has been arrested on suspicion of rape and assault following allegations on social media. Greater Manchester Police said it was made aware of the images. We can confirm he remains in custody for questioning. Inquiries ongoing. Manchester United have already said that they don't condone any violence of any kind and have been made aware of the allegations. And yeah, quite a short statement. But I think I'd seen Piers Morgan tweet that earlier. I think Sky had mentioned something earlier. So I think we all know. But obviously the name has been put out there by Simon Stone and the BBC. I mean, thoughts, Adam? For me, I just think it's, as I said, it's a horrible situation, but only for the victim. If this is found to be true, I do believe in rehabilitation, but that's something in the future. Then that person needs to want to do that. What you've got is a victim, and it's going through the process it needs to go. Yep,
that is it, mate. I mean, there is recoveries. You can come back from it, but that's on a personal side. That's something that he has to go away from football and concentrate on probably more for his own sort of well-being. Rehabilitation can't be done just on a football pitch. He has got a lot of issues going on in his life to be such a young age and have this sort of problem. I think he needs to be away from football. I don't think we'll see Mason Greenwood for a long time. I don't think we're ever going to see him playing a Manchester United shirt again. It's my opinion on that. And without the club behind him and supporting him, it could be a difficult time ahead for the lad. Because you know what United are like, they will support their players. And if he does end up cutting ties with Manchester United, all he's known all his life, then he is going to need a lot of help in the future because that's not there for him. And for someone like Mason Greenwood, like I said, at that age, we've seen signs of problems when he went away with England. Why was Gareth Southgate never picking him and never picking him. We all backed him. We had our red tinted glasses on. I was one of that club. But behind the scenes, obviously, there are bigger issues with him there, and it's away from football that he needs that rehabilitation. And hopefully, the powers that be make the right decisions on all of this. They go down the right avenues, which I'm sure they will. And he will have to learn from whatever comes his way. And that's a big learning curve in his life at a very young age. And where he goes from there, we don't know, mate. And hopefully he can recover from it and he can become a better person. If it does turn out to be the actual truth, obviously we'll wait and let, like you said then, the judicial system take its course, and we will all find out once we'll find out when we need to know. And hopefully nothing else comes out apart from the right authorities from this point going forward, mate.
Yeah, and just on that, I mean, look, I've had clips from other people today sent to me, and like people are, quite rightly, people interpret things the way they want to interpret them, and they get very angry and they tweet and they do videos and stuff like that. But we need to get to the bottom of this really quickly. We don't do anything. Like, we're not involved. We're not investigating it. And these people who want answers fast, I'm sorry, that's just not how it's going to work. You're going to get something in the next 24, 48 hours. And that's what I said on the video about an hour ago. If he gets charged, forget about it. He's going to go to court at some point. He might get remanded. If he gets released without charge, which is probably unlikely, but we don't know, then there's a bridge to cross there. If he gets bailed without charge, then there's an investigation to go on. So you're going to get something in the next 24 to 48 hours in relation to what happens with this. And to be honest with you, and I'm sure Adam would say the same, I don't really have a thought on what's going to happen. I don't have a preference on what's going to happen, because it's for the police to investigate and the victim to be dealt with and cared for. And when I say dealt with, I mean statements and photos and all that. And that will take its course. But trial by media is never a good thing. We've seen it before. You're not going to get, there are other cases at other clubs which have been going on for months and months and months, and those players haven't played football. I think that's what me and Adam were talking about at the start, about whether, from a footballing point of view, United needed to make a decision. And I think actually it all fits in with everything. This is going to take time. And I think the best thing United can do is focus on life without Mason Greenwood and expect it to be as long as it's going to be. And if it's going to be a long time, then you look at a long-term solution in a very, very... I mean, I just can't remember, just taking it back there, Adam, I can't really think of any time as a United fan where we've had anything like this. And I don't want to mention anything else because it's nothing like this. I heard somebody today talking about Selhurst Park, and I'm not even going to mention the name of the player because he should not be associated with something like this. That's more of an event. That was a shocking event in relation to a football match, which was probably justifiable. But this, apart from what's gone on at Man City, which is weird because that's only happened a few months ago as well. I thought about the Man City incident. Well, we'll name the name Mendy at Man City because we've spoken about, I thought that was shocking. And at no point did I think, well, he's a decent left back or anything like that. But I didn't think he was anyway, to be fair. But the reality is it's now happened at United, and it may well happen at other clubs. And that's why I think it's responsible just to, and one thing I've been very impressed with everybody is the universal condemnation of this behaviour if it's true, despite the fact that as United fans we know there's a lot of younger fans who idolise these players and will be really hurting today, and there's no guilt attached to that. If you're a younger fan who, I don't idolise players, I'm sure you don't, Adam, I'll let you speak in a minute, but I don't idolise players because I learned a long time ago that these footballers are they're footballers. What they're like off the pitch, some of them are complete dicks. Some of them have obviously get into things that you would never do. But I did used to have the posters on the wall in my, when I was like 13 and that. And it's horrible for, I feel for the younger generation who idolize these players and, want to be them. And they today will be really, really having to learn a life lesson that me and you are already aware of, that, they're footballers, they're not role models. And But what I think is really important and encouraging is that the universal condemnation of it, that if there is any truth in it, then that person doesn't play football again, and they never put the shirt on of my club or my country again because it's disgusting. And that's quite refreshing in this world, because I think people, I wouldn't be surprised if there had been a minority who were like, saying things like, well, no, thinking about the interests of themselves and the football club and how good that footballer is. It doesn't matter if you're bloody Maradona. It doesn't matter. It's not what's in your feet. It's in what's in your head. If you're given that talent, then for God's sake, put the right people around you and have the right attitude and know your boundaries, because it will all come crashing down. No matter how good you are, you're not above the law.
Exactly that, mate. It's it's a career wasted. It's a career that had so much potential, and
if it gets to that point, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, everyone's innocent until proven guilty. It's what it is, and the powers that be will deal with that. That's out of our hands, and they will deal with that properly. But you talked then about the younger generation of fan, Mark, as well, and this is a younger generation of player as well. Him himself, Mason Greenwood, had no life. He knows nothing but Manchester United. And it comes down to, from this, what we can learn from this, because it has happened now and there's not much we can do about it. It is a devastating day for Manchester United, for football, for the new age of football as well. And you look at it and you go, oh, we can look at it. The powers that be, like I said, will deal with it right now, but there's nothing that we can do. We have to move on. We have to be Manchester United without Mason Greenwood. I would say take the thought process of having Mason Greenwood in the United shirt away for at least this whole rest of the season. We should be looking ahead without it, because there's more important things in life than football. As serious as we take our football, moments like this come to light and just bring it all back crashing down with a big bang. And no one should have to live that life. No one should be a victim like that. And I just hope, like we said before, he will learn from it. But the football clubs also have to learn from it. You mentioned Mendy there as well. It's becoming and social media gets a bad rap for what it does a lot of the time. But would we have known what was going on behind the scenes? And like you said before, there's a lot of support out there for people now, and they do need to pick up the phone and reach out when you feel like something isn't right. I hear it on the radio now about adverts on what to look for and things like that. And it's true, it's there now. I'm a big advocate of the mental side of things. I struggled with my mental health over the last couple of years because of things that were going on in my life, different reasons, but I was always able to talk, and I know that works. Right now, you've got to look at it and do, what more can we do to make sure that the mental side of these players, when they come away from football, and the whole football culture, you could say, was partly to blame for this, because they think they're bigger than what they are. They think they're role models. They're not. There's no real football out there that's a role model. You know what I mean? Some people would say no footballers are role models. He's just, and everything about it has sort of brought to light the reality of what can actually happen. It's not all happy days every single day being a footballer. We've seen it. And
life's fragile. Life's fragile, and football's fragile, isn't it? Like, going to bed last night, I was away in Stratford, had a nice meal, a nice few beers, and thinking, ooh, transfer deadline, and then we're back into football. You wake up this morning and it's like, have you seen this, Mark? Have you seen this, Mark? I'm like, fucking hell, what's that all about? And then you think, then you find out what it's about, and you go, fucking hell, that's, I mean, I didn't even know what it was about. First of all, I was just like, who's done that's fucking horrible, who's done that, what's that, who's that girl? And then you're like, oh, for fuck's sake. That is
it comes to reality, slap bang in the face, and you're like,
and wow. The club's in shit. And we said this afternoon, like, anyone talking about signings, to be honest with you, United, let's bring it back to football for a moment. United are crap at signings and getting them done quickly. They would have woke up this morning like all of us, but they've got to deal with that. Their lawyers are dealing with something completely different than they thought they might be dealing with. I mean, they probably thought they had a day off tomorrow, transfer deadline day. And they're now like fucking dealing with this. Like, and head of communications thought, I might put in a press release about this player going on loan, and it's like, no, I'm now instead of fielding 100 calls, I'm fielding 1,000 calls and emails from every news outlet on this planet who will be interested in this. This ain't just going to be football journalists. This is going to be mainstream, main news journalists. United are going to be absolutely swamped for the next 2 days. I would say, even if they were planning on doing a transfer, I'm not pretending that they were, I think you just get shelved for the fact that, this is something that I think we'll have to see how it runs its course. But I think this is something that, unfortunately, and I say unfortunately in a football sense, because it's not an unfortunate event at all. Unfortunate's not the word. It's a disgusting event. However it's been caused, whatever the outcome is, somebody's got those injuries, and it needs to be found out how. And there could be other explanations, but in the face of what we've got, it looks like there is an explanation.
It needs removing from football, mate. It needs removing out of the conversation. And like we said,
because we've got to talk about football. Yeah, we've got to talk about football, and people will not want to. And I liked what you said about this this and club needs to move on without Mason Greenwood. Not in the sense that we're throwing him in the bin or anything like that. Just like, it needs to be dealt with through that process. Everybody's outraged. Everybody's angry. Everyone's said the right things about getting support for the victim, and this thing's unacceptable, and it is. But we can't keep doing that for the next month, 2 months, or anything like that. In a footballing sense, we do have to move on, and in a world without what we thought we had yesterday, and United need to lead from the front on this. They've led from the front on very, in our history of our football club, we've led from the front on some major events, and we need to lead from the front, because I do think that hopefully we'll never see anything like this happening again in football. Certainly not at Manchester United or any football club. But I do think we will look back on this in years to come and go, this is quite a big event today, and again, it's a very nasty event. And it will be an event that you talk about for many years to come. We just don't know what the outcome is going to be yet, but it is definitely a big event. And I just taking it back to transfers again, because we are here to talk about Manchester United. I mean, this Zakaria deal today to Juventus, almost when it hit from Romano, I was like,
meh.
And then I walked away, because normally in the normal world that I thought existed yesterday, I'd have been losing my shit. I mean, I did tweet it, but it was sort of like, I didn't put very much effort in it. I said like, Juventus buys Zakaria, Rangnick wanted him, United said no. He's gone to, if anyone doesn't know, and I don't blame you if you've missed it, because it's been that sort of a day, but Zakaria has signed for Juventus for €5 million. So a holding midfielder that Rangnick likes, that I've always quite liked, that we could have got for like £3 million between now and the end of the season, has gone to Juventus. And there will be fans in the chat, Adam, who were saying, wow, he's a load of crap. Have you ever watched him? I have watched him a few times. I do quite like him. I've mentioned him on the channel for about 3 years. But we also had this story that Rangnick wanted him and United decided he wasn't right for the Premier League. I mean, where do you sit on that? I know you said you'd wait till the summer anyway, but where do you sit on that deal specifically? A holding midfielder, and United have overruled Rangnick and said, our scouts don't think he'd be right. And yet Juventus scouts think he will. And you look at who's won more titles in the last 10 years, and it's Juventus. I mean,
I honestly think it's the fact that the club didn't think the manager in the summer would have wanted him. I just look at it that way. At the end of the day, we could have got this player signed up for less than what we got from a loan fee for Donny van der Beek. Yeah, it sort of made complete sense just to do it at that zero risk factor. You know what I mean? Donny's wages are gone. This guy's going to be on probably half of what Donny was on. And you've got a player that the manager actually wants. It made complete sense because, like we said before, bring some of the youth players in because they can obviously work on the run and we'll listen to him. And I said before, he's an advocate of the players doing what they're told within that system. Now, we know that Zakaria would have done that. Otherwise, Rangnick would not have brought him in. He's recording the transfer market and spotting of player. None of the players that he brought through or was famous for bringing through were well known until he found them and brought them onto the scene. He could have seen this player be one of them players And we were all for it. I think we had a show not too long ago where we was happy to go along with the new methods, the new tactics in the transfer market, where it's not the big name, it's the so-called unknown player that we can develop more because we actually have a manager that's got a system now. And I was all for it. The club obviously are not. The club are looking at it from my point of view in a sense that, does the new manager want him in the summer? There's our excuse not to buy him. And let's be honest, we have saved an absolute packet over this January transfer window.
Yeah.
I mean, we're getting loan fees through, we're getting wages off the wage bill, saving us absolute fortunes every single week. And this was
Donny's on 120 grand.
Yeah, Donny 120.
Martial
2.5. Yeah,
that's 370 plus probably another 5 or 6 million in loan fees. So you're making about 1.4 million in wages over 5 months. So that's nearly 10 plus another 15 million they've made.
Yeah,
just over the 11 million dividends they've took. It's almost coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that the other day. Actually, it probably works out.
Mate, more tomorrow as well if Lingard goes.
Oh, if that one goes off the wage, but my God, you've got room then. And then, can you imagine if Pogba left in the summer with Cavani? The money that we'd have available. But it's like I said, I mean, I was all for, and I said I didn't expect a player to come in. I would have waited for the summer to get the right one. But if there was a player there that the manager knew would work at the right price, and let's be honest, 5 bleeding million. I mean, God, you just said we're saving that over the space of this season in wages. Why would you not go for that and trust your manager? Because there's no definite yet.
I know you said you would have waited till the summer, but on that, it's quite an interesting point to you. Rangnick did want a midfielder. Now, Zakaria has been mentioned, Kamara, but he did want a midfielder. And do you think that's bad that they haven't sort of chucked one in?
Yeah, I mean, he said we didn't have the profile of player that he wanted for the midfield. And for me, if you're going to bring him in, you're going to agree to the deal that Rangnick's coming on, the contract that he signed, you've got to back your man. It's the first chance you've got to give him some support. I mean, you've thrown him into an absolute shitstorm.
Yeah.
And then you're not going to back him in January. You've really sort of thrown the guy under the bus a little bit here. If it was Ollie's bus, I don't know. But when you look at it, it sort of looks like, yeah, Ollie's made a mess. He's drove his bus off and they've just thrown Rangnick under it because he's dealing with more right now than any Manchester United manager in the history of the football club, going back to where he went for other circumstances. And you don't want to give him 5 million to go and take a chance on a player that he's buying from a league that he's got such a good reputation in, and he's found players from that league before.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, you've got to throw the guy a bone, and they've thrown him under the bus instead, mate. And he's having to deal with what he's got, which is why I give Rangnick massive credit for what he's done so far. And this on top of it now, to get through this, he's unfair, and hopefully he does get through it. And we can all stand up and give him a round of applause for dealing with this mess that he's been thrown in.
I'll come back on that. I mean, hang fire, everybody, because it's a good question I was going to come back to Adam with there about Rangnick and Pogba and this situation and what United might do because they've got a history of doing it. But Levin's on the show. Levin, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Thank you. Yeah, no, good to be here. So I just got bumped in there, but I'm here now. So hi, everyone.
Yeah, so Levin's on the show. I mean, look, Levin, we'll hit it head on because obviously you've not been on the show since all this is broken. I would frame it in the sense that obviously Levin's a very intelligent guy anyway, so he's not about to start ranting about what he thinks should happen. But obviously the judicial process is taking place now with Mason Greenwood. BBC have said that he's been arrested, obviously the pictures and everything like that. We've sort of been framing the show tonight in relation to, what do United do? Do they rush into the transfer window? We've heard Ousmane Dembele is actually going to go to PSG. That's come out from Romano in the last few minutes. He says United were never interested. What do you feel in about this situation in relation to Greenwood and United going forward? How you sort of reacted to it over today in what has been quite a shocking day?
Yeah, you got to move on. He did what he did, and with the process that's going on, hopefully the actions, there will be consequence for his actions. And as a club, you've got to just move on. I don't think there's much to really say there in terms of, do we jump into a transfer or not? That's a different conversation. That's, United's strategy from there on out. I don't know. I don't know what they have to do. But when it comes to Greenwood, you've got to move on. Like, that's not something I think anybody anywhere should stand for or should just accept or be okay with. We got to move on. Whether that means we are now looking at somebody because Rangnick goes, hey, I'm a bit understaffed here. We just got rid of Ahmad and Martial. We need a couple of players. Cool, but yeah, I'm not thinking about my man.
No, very mature answer, Levin, as I would expect. How do you feel about United? I mean, look, for whatever circumstances, United have said it. I think we all expect it. We may not see Mason Greenwood in a United shirt for certainly short term, but maybe a long term. You've got to plan that it's going to be long term. Otherwise, it's like anything in life. When there's an issue, you've got to plan for it. We've lost Martial to Sevilla. We've lost Ahmad. Donny is gone, which I want to ask you about in a few minutes anyway. And we're a bit short. Although, do you see that as an issue? Do you think we're too short now? Adam was talking about, even centre backs a little bit short. I don't know what's happened with Phil Jones from Bordeaux. That was the story from last night. But the wing options now would be Sancho, Rashford, backed up by Elanga, maybe Cavani. You've got Ronaldo. Obviously, you've got no Martial, Greenwood, or Ahmad anymore. Donny's out of the midfield. Pogba's coming back. We've seen Zakaria go to Juventus, which is what we were just talking about there. Very, very surprised if United were to do anything in the next 24 hours anyway, but certainly with what they're dealing with now, I wouldn't think they've got time to go and do a deal. Do you think do you have concerns about the situation United are in as a football club going into these next few months and with what we've got?
Yeah, I do, because, you're looking at it and there are players who now we've let go out on loan who maybe you think could be of use to us now and if things do go wrong. But ultimately, right, this is a test that the likes of John Murtough and whatnot will have to deal with, and it is very much going to show their character and how good they are at what they do. Because, yeah, of course, you always have a plan, and obviously in an ideal world, you stick to your plan, everything goes well. But your ability to, readjust and adapt as your plan maybe doesn't work out how you expect it to, very much is a testament of how good you are at what you do. So, yeah, things might get rough for us now moving forward. It might, affect our chances of getting top four, whatever it is that we care about as football fans. But it's their jobs to adapt appropriately and make the best out of it. And if they can do that, then maybe there's a bit of hope for us as fans, and that maybe we are in better hands now. If not, it's the same old story, really. So, I'll be interested. I'll be surprised if we get anything done, because, like you sort of alluded to, if we were going to get something done, you would have thought we'd be hearing something at least now, right? At least there's always something that you're hearing at least 24 hours before something happens, and we're not hearing anything. So I don't know what's going to happen. I very much doubt we get anyone in.
Yeah, you're right. You make a very good point there. I don't think there's many United fans now who think we're going to do any business in the next 24 hours. But yeah, if Levin is absolutely spot on. I think we've all probably been stunned and, consumed by a major horrible event over the last few hours, that actually logically, that if we were going to do a deal, it's not going to wake up tomorrow and happen. United there'd be some hint of it. What I was going to mention to you, Levin, and we sort of touched on it a little bit this afternoon, is that we are in a race for top four, and when you look at it factually, Donny's gone, Martial's gone, Ahmad's gone, maybe Lingard goes, we'll see. And, the midfield was always a problem that we've spoken about many, many times. Yes, Liverpool have got Diaz and Alvarez will go to City in the summer. But probably more importantly, the three big rivals for us are West Ham, Spurs and Arsenal. As far as I'm aware, West Ham have done nothing. Arsenal, surprisingly, have done nothing. But Spurs have brought a couple of players in, one being a midfielder, one being an attacker. Now, they could both flop. That could happen. But they've made the moves they needed to do. If I was a Spurs fan, I'd be like, well, it doesn't mean you're going to get top four. But they have made a couple of moves and they've got no European football. Do you agree with the outgoings? Do you agree with Donny to Everton? Do you think that, obviously Donny wanted to go, Spurs have made some moves. Do you feel that we're equipped as well as we could be to take on the challenge for top four?
As well as we could be, definitely not. But in terms of Spurs, in terms of Spurs, yeah, they've made deals that they need to do. They know they needed another midfielder, someone that's a bit more of a creative presence. In theory, Bentancur will be that for them. I've never been high on him, right? He was decent a couple of years ago, but I've never really heard great things about him and not been that impressed when watching him in the past couple of years. Kulusevski, I'm a bit higher on. I think he actually does have quite a high ceiling.
He's just on him, Levin. I knew you'd know a bit about him. Now, he's a really interesting one. When he was linked to them, I was like, it was only in the Euros in the summer people were on about what a great player he is and he's going to be a superstar. And it's quite surprising that Juventus would be willing to let him go. But then again, they have brought Vlahovic in, so I suppose it's making room, isn't it? And it is a loan deal. Yeah,
he's someone that I saw a lot of Arsenal fans talking about in terms of him coming in and like him rotating with Saka and like being a backup option for them and coming in when needed. He's got talent and I think he does have a future ahead of him. And Spurs need a kind of player like him, so hopefully that works out. But at the same time, I think with him, it's only a loan. Bentancur was like a permanent deal. This is only a loan, so he'll be going back to Italy at some point. When it comes to Donny and the Everton thing, I know a lot of people wanted Donny to go to Crystal Palace instead. And I know a lot of people may be a bit frustrated at that, especially because they're not high on Lampard. And I get that because Lampard, my personal opinion, I don't think Lampard's ever really going to have a great managerial career. But one thing about Lampard is early on in his Chelsea days, there was a point where he had a system that did work pretty decently. He had a 4-2-3-1 that was very basic, but it was quite balanced and it worked. And he was very, very influential in helping Mason Mount develop, right? Mason Mount became a player that was very, very important to Chelsea, very good at attacking the box, whatever, worked very hard, pressed well. He had a good relationship with Tammy Abraham for a while as well. And ideally, right, if that was to translate to Donny at Everton with Lampard, that would probably be the best case scenario. If Lampard does decide, look, I want to build a basic but very balanced 4-2-3-1 system there, which they have the players for. They just were missing a number 10. Donny can be that guy. Donny's already someone who likes to attack the box, right? If you ever watched him at Ajax, he loves to do that. He loves to get in the box, finish off moves. Something that Lampard himself was quite good at as a player as well. So, in an ideal world, this could actually be really good for Donny. Going to play quite a bit. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that move at all.
Everton's fixtures, which I had been looking at Palace's fixtures. Everton's first game is at 7:45 in the Premier League on a Tuesday, which is exactly when United are playing Burnley. So, we'll have to wait for a game. Although he's playing Brentford in the Cup next Saturday afternoon, which fits because we're not. We're playing Friday night. So I will. We've spoken about that, haven't we, Adam? I will be keeping an eye on Donny. But no, just try to remember. You made a point about Rangnick and how he's in a ridiculously horrible position. Do you think, this is a manager who wants the job? If he comes out of this with top four, do you think... look, the reason I was going to put the question to you is because I think United have got history for this. They'll just go, you've really helped us out in a right shit situation. Here's the job. Some people would agree and go, well, fucking hell, he's really taking on a really difficult situation here. Some would say an unprecedented position. Do you think his chances of getting the job have probably been enhanced by the fact that he's not been given a player when he wanted it? This stuff that's happened today, it's very difficult to manage whether we want to talk about it or not. The dressing room unrest, taken over from a team like Ollie that was getting pounded all the time. Do you think his chances of getting the job are now enhanced if he does get that top four?
Probably so.
Sorry. Let me go and then Adam can go.
I thought you were saying to me.
Well, you go now and then
No. I actually feel bad. I genuinely thought you were asking me that. No, so Adam, go ahead. Got carried away.
No, you would naturally expect him to be really considered for the job if he pulls this off. Yeah. Because of everything that he'd been dealing with. Like I said before, no other manager in United's history has had to deal with the crap that Rangnick's had to deal with right now. And you look at it and go, well, if they didn't consider him, at least having given him nothing in January, when he said he needed a player and there was one there cheap enough, he could have come in and really wasn't going to affect any of the purse strings or anything like that, then he got top 4 out of this, had a good Champions League run, then you would look at it and go, okay, are the players on board with him? Well, they have to be to have turned this around. So if you look at that and you say, right, he's got the team on board now, he's the first manager that's actually got rid of players that don't want to be there or are causing a problem or not tried to pull the wool over their eyes and convincing them like Ollie was. It's that the first manager acting like what I would say an actual Manchester United player. If you don't want to play for the football club, there's the door, mate. See you later. I'll find someone that is. That's a United manager for me. And if they've got anything about them, they would say, look, Ralph, maybe let's just do a rolling 1-year contract, a la like Sir Alex Ferguson used to do. Nothing stupid. Let's just let him build it. And I know the issue with that is we may miss out on other managers that are available in the summer if they do come available. And then we're stuck in that argument again. Oh, United's clung on to Solskjaer too long. We missed Conte. We missed out on Klopp because we was standing by our man at that time. Pep didn't want to come to us. He'd rather go to City because of this and that. And the argument may come around again, but there has to be a consideration at least if he pulls this one around, Mark. And I don't think any United fan would probably argue that point if he did manage to do it.
Yeah, Pochettino's probably sat there at home tonight going, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm finally thinking I'm going to get the job again. And if Rangnick gets top 4, I'm probably not going to do it. Beth, hello and welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, it's good to be back. I've not been on for a while. So, yeah, it's good to be back and obviously start conversating about United again.
Good. Look, yeah, I'm not going to dwell on this in the sense that I don't want you to start ranting and raving about what you think should happen, but it's obviously we've had this Greenwood story come out today. It's going through the judicial process, which I seem to have said more times than I thought I would do today. And apparently he's been arrested. It's quite a shocking thing to deal with as a United fan, and obviously, you know, I said it earlier that the interview that the father of the victim did about, you know, I don't get it. Hacking and the you know, the photos. It was almost I just found it very weird. But for me, the good thing is that the photos are out there because whatever the truth is, the truth needs to be established in relation to that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
100% for me. Like, obviously, I'm not going to say if someone's lying or telling the truth about what's happened. Like, it's for the police and the judicial system, like you said, to decide what's happened. But the only thing you can comment on is what has gone public, and the evidence that has gone public is really disgusting, disturbing to see from anyone's point of view. I mean, as like a young girl, as a father, like you said, like, is anyone will look at that and just feel completely sorry for the person that's been affected by that and the victim that is involved in it, and hopefully it's dealt with the way that it should be. And for me, the evidence for me is there that this has happened. I mean, you can't look at or listen to stuff like that and say otherwise, in my opinion. So I think action needs to be taken. It has to be taken. And for me, someone who's committed something like that shouldn't ever play for Manchester United again, or shouldn't play football again. For me, they should be in prison if they've done something like that. So we'll have to see what happens. But it is not a nice thing to wake up to, especially knowing that someone's had to go through something like that. So, I mean, that's all you can really say, really.
No. Very, very to the point and strong words. And I think, you know, as we've said many times, it's being dealt with, and I think that's the most important thing, that this afternoon we've seen developments that it's being dealt with by the people that you'd want to be dealing with it, and the support will be there for the victim, and we just await to see what happens with that. But I think Adam made a good point before. It's what the club need to do, what the fans need to do is focus on, you know, football's going to carry on, and we focus on what we've got with what we've got. We're 24 hours from the end of the transfer window, more or less, Beth. What is your thoughts on it? We were just talking there with Levin about, you know, Spurs have brought a couple of players in. United have let quite a few players go. Maybe Lingard and Henderson will go to Newcastle tomorrow, which I would actually agree with, even though that leaves us even more short. What are your thoughts about United's transfer window, and does it leave you with hope or concern, or do you think we'll be all right? You know, Adam was talking about Rangnick there. We did beat West Ham just before this international break or whatever it is.
I'm not going to lie, I'm not happy with the way that Manchester United is going to about this transfer window. I mean, I don't think that's the first time any of us has said that. I think it was extremely obvious going into the window that we were going to be short on players. There was people that in the club that didn't want to play for Manchester United. They wanted game time. They wanted a fresh start. That's fine. But if you're going to let them players go, you've got to bring in replacements, in my opinion. We are short now, and we're short in quite a few areas, to be honest with you. When you look at that midfield, it was so obvious from a mile away that we needed something in January. I'm not expecting Manchester United to go out and buy Declan Rice in January. I'm not expecting that, but I am expecting, knowing how short we were from summer and knowing the fact that, Romano's been on the show many times and said that Manchester United were looking in that area in summer, but they chose to go with Ronaldo instead. Well, if you're looking in that area and you know you're short, and the lack of having that position continues to show throughout the season, you would have thought Manchester United would go out and scout a player that they can buy in January. And there's players out there we could have gone and got. I mean, we just saw that Zakaria is going to Juventus, and I think trying to fix a solution in January was crucial for me. I mean, if any of them players get injured, I mean, it's going to be, I'm not sure what's going to happen with the midfield. And then obviously you can't foresee certain events that are happening with the forward line, but you look at it, and if, Ronaldo gets injured, Cavani's constantly getting injured, you've got Rashford who can play up front, who isn't really a striker, wingers wise, we're short as well. I think if Ralph Rangnick does get top four, like Adam was saying, I think that puts him in very good stead to get an extension on his job at Manchester United, because you look at the way other teams are strengthening, or at least trying to strengthen. You look at teams like Aston Villa, like how much they've strengthened in this January window. They're going about it like a club that isn't happy with where they're at the moment, and they want to try and improve that, and they're giving trust and faith in the manager. Manchester United once again haven't shown any trust or faith in Ralph Rangnick, who's been brought in to actually remain at the club and help with things like this. So for me, again, it's just poor from Manchester United. It's poor business, slow, not caring about if we do get top four, or being stupid enough to think that we can get top four and just be that confident in doing it, and hopefully doing it without spending any money. For me, it's just disappointing. It's so disappointing when you have owners that have this mentality. But if Ralph Rangnick does get top four, I'll be shocked, to be honest, after the lack of business we've done, and I'll think he's done a very, very good job to do so.
Levin, I'm going to let you have your response to that question that you've been patiently waiting about Rangnick and this top four. Rangnick and the possibility of getting the job if he does get top four from very difficult circumstances now. But first of all, Evan, you're going to get the joy of answering this breaking news that the Phil Jones move to Bordeaux has collapsed. What are your thoughts on that?
Shocker.
We get to keep Phil. I was so worried for a moment that we were going to lose Phil and it was all going to be over. I feel bad because I feel like the show we did the other day, Adam, we sort of just like said our goodbye to Phil Jones, and it's like, no, he's still here.
He just made that show irrelevant now.
Yeah. Look, it is what it is. I'm not too worried about that. Look, maybe this is their response and their reaction to, hold on a minute, we just had an injury crisis where we had to play Phil Jones because we didn't have any centre backs. If we get rid of Phil Jones and that happens again, what are we going to do? Maybe that's the response to it. But in terms of keeping a job if Rangnick gets top four, I think we need to move away from that approach, because I think it's already shown how flawed it is. Like the idea that a manager, or the idea that, let's say, Rangnick in this situation should or shouldn't get top four, or shouldn't get the job, purely off of if he gets top four. There's so many variables that can happen that could affect that don't necessarily, clarify whether he's a good or bad manager, right? Like, let's say top four comes down to like one goal difference or something stupid, and like we lose out on top four because like somebody messes up a throw in or something, like something as minute as that. You then go, no, he shouldn't get a job, mate. He didn't get top four. No, you'd go, okay, unfortunate circumstances maybe meant that he didn't get it, but he did this and this good, or he did this and good, this and this bad. If we are purely gonna just go, okay, Rangnick gets top four, he should be in contention for the job. Rangnick doesn't get top four, shouldn't be. I think that's the wrong approach. We need to look at what he actually is doing in the job and whether there's longevity and actual success that could be provided if he stays in. So let's say now over the next couple of months, our defense continues to improve, because he has improved our defense, right? It's, our performance against West Ham, one of our better defensive performances. Let's say that keeps improving. Let's say he finally figures out what we need to do in attacking. We can actually start scoring goals efficiently. He finds the right balance. Players are working together. And if by the end of the system, let's say we do get top four and the system actually looks very good, and And then some people go, well, actually, maybe if you don't give him a couple players that he wanted for specific roles, maybe there's something there. But until then, until I see more improvement, like I've not seen enough improvement yet for me to think, yeah, this is someone I want in the job for another year. I've seen improvement and I'm happy with it and I hope it continues. But I'm not thinking about whether Rangnick should or shouldn't be getting a job right now. I think it's way too soon to even be talking about that.
Yeah, I think with Rangnick, I'm still very much of the opinion that even if we do get top four and Rangnick does well, and everyone's like, oh, he's done really well, I'm still not comfortable with the fact that Fletcher and Murta are his superiors. I would actually take the evidence that he's done well as more evidence to move him up the chain. Like, I think United are broken from top to bottom, as we know. And what I quite liked about Rangnick was that even if he did well on 6 months with the playing staff and the coaches, he then moves up to the director of football area and we bring in a manager below him so that we increase the competence within the football club instead of just keeping him at a level where if it goes wrong, they'll probably just sack him. I quite liked the idea, especially of his age profile, Rangnick, and what he's done in recent years. I quite liked the idea that he would just move up the club, and I'd still be hungry for that, even if he did really well. But I do agree with what's been said, that I think United's history is that if a manager does well, they'll be like, oh, he's done a good job. Let's give him the job. But it's definitely going to be a very interesting next few months. And I still think it'll be a very interesting next few hours. Next 24 hours. I think Beth made a good point about Villa. I wouldn't be surprised if Villa, I think there will be some business tomorrow. I still cannot believe that Arsenal will do nothing in this January transfer window, considering that, they are out of Europe. And the fourth position, which is what used to be 50 million quid just for getting fourth and getting into the Champions League, is probably more than that now. It's got to be worth pushing for fourth place, and that's why I commend Spurs that they've actually got a couple of players in. There's a risk there, but they're having a go. And I think that at the start of the season, we all thought top four was nailed down with United in there, with Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool, and now that door's open. I think Arsenal and Spurs have got to go for it, especially with them not having European football and we do. So I'll be surprised there's not a lot of business tomorrow, but obviously just not in relation to us. You mentioned Pogba, Adam, and Pogba's a player that we always seem to mention, but his importance is becoming more and more to this team. And not just because we're probably not going to have Greenwood for a while and Martial's left and Donny's left, but also we haven't brought that midfielder in. And Pogba, I mean, it's just typical United that a player that's openly said he wants to leave and probably does want to leave. And I like Pogba. I've got no issues with Pogba. I think he's a great. I think he's had a lot of unfair stick, and I think he's a good player, a great player at times. But it is a weird situation that this player, who probably is waiting for the summer with his agent for a big, massive, who's going to show me the money, which is right. He's out of contract. Is actually really fundamental to our season. I've spoken to so many people who've said Pogba's so key. Like, you can feel down about the team and not buying players, but Pogba is really key to what happens for United in the next 4 months.
It's like you said, mate. Yeah, it's, of all this midfielder conundrum that we've got and wanting to bring a player in, we can't forget that we have actually got a midfielder who's got a World Cup medal behind him, who has got absolute world-class qualities when he wants to show it. It's funny, isn't it, how you'd see a player that obviously clearly wants out of the club could actually be part of the saviour of the club in the last months of the season. It's honestly, I do see Pogba coming into this team. I do see him coming into the midfield role. But we spoke before, we were looking at our numbers and our lack of numbers in that forward position, and we've obviously seen Pogba play within that forward position. We've seen Bruno play as a false nine. There are options for us in that front line, and Pogba coming back just gives us that something a little bit different. What he does bring is what Rangnick likes, the physicality. He can hold the ball up better than anyone else in our midfield. He can hold a player off better than anyone else in our midfield. And let's not forget, he is decent in the air as well. And that's something that we are lacking in our team as well. Definitely in the forward line at the moment. But there's different roles he can play in. I mean, it's very intriguing how we see Rangnick put Pogba into a seed. Because of all the carnage aside, Pogba's not played a minute under Rangnick. So it's going to be really interesting to find out exactly where he's going to play him in this team and what he's going to do with him. And I think that's something we could probably look forward to because it's the unknown. Is Rangnick the one who's going to unlock Paul Pogba for Manchester United? We don't know out of all of this, and we was looking at positives before, Mark, and I said we've always talked about leaders and coming through. We've seen what Pogba's like in that French dressing room. What does all of a sudden, while the chips are down, that player come out of nowhere and out of all the carnage that's going on? Is it a player like Paul Pogba that comes to the fore and surprises us all? I've said I'm not getting too hung up on Pogba. I think he's still gone in the summer. But when certain things happen like this, and like we said before, things change, mindsets change, and that siege mentality and that togetherness that you're hoping that this brings to this squad will bring out the leaders naturally. Someone has to step up to the plate. Who's to say it's not Paul Pogba, to all of our surprise? So I mean, it's going to be different. I don't think we're going to play the way that we're playing now when Pogba comes into this team. So how Rangnick adapts him in, because I do believe he will play him, it's going to be really interesting. But I can see him playing one of 2 or 3 roles now with the numbers that we've got in this squad. And I'm just looking forward to seeing how Rangnick gets him because, like I said, Rangnick is the one manager that we want to know how he handles Pogba. A manager with a system, he knows exactly what he wants from his players. And Pogba in that is going to be what I'm intrigued to see. I think he has got a role to play now going forward because, like I said, we are short on forward line, we're short on midfield. Pogba can play all of them, and I think we're going to see him in a few different roles. I don't think it's going to be strictly one position with Rangnick. That's what I think with Paul Pogba.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I agree. Just back onto Rangnick for you, Beth. We know he wanted a midfielder, and then we know that he didn't want Donny to go because he was worried about. Basically, he wanted Donny to stay in case he had a couple of injuries, which are still. Look, Matic can't play 90 minutes. McTominay and Fred can't play 90 minutes, but no, they can. But they've got their own criticisms, and they could pick up injuries. And then you got Paul Pogba. We've got 4 options for 2 midfield places, basically, and they haven't brought him a midfielder in as well. We've spoken about Rangnick, and like if he gets the top 4, he deserves the job. But he's probably not been helped by the board this month, has he? You know, he wanted a midfielder, he didn't get it. He wanted to keep Donny, so he had options, and Donny's gone. He's a bit short in that area. Pogba's very important.
Yeah, it's not been helped. I think any manager coming into a job where they've obviously the United squad is a very good squad, but when you're coming into a job where the race is that tight for top 4, and you've listed that you need a certain profile of midfielder to play the way you want to play, and I understand you've got to use what you have, but that midfield is really short and it is really limited, especially now with Donny van de Beek going on loan as well. I mean, I don't think we're going to miss him because he never really got played. But no. I mean, one more injury away from that being a possibility. And do you know what? I think Pogba is going to come back, and I think he's going to show a lot of world-class qualities. And I think he is a world-class player, but he's a short-term solution really, because he's going to be going in the summer, and you've going to have to buy people anyway. And I understand that you've got to wait to try and get the right person. You don't want to just waste money on bringing someone in and then it not working out. But I mean, to see the best out of Paul Pogba, for me, you need to buy a CDM anyway. So I think United going out and doing that and buying a CDM in January that can play with Paul Pogba really would have been a statement out there that we know that this needs to happen, and we're doing it, and we're putting faith in Rangnick to play the style of football he wants to play, and to be successful doing so. Bringing Pogba back into the team, for me, is still a sticky situation, because you've got who's going to play with him in the midfield, for one. That's a question that I don't think. I mean, all of us probably have different answers. That's how unsure it is going with that fact. And if you play him in the forward line, we've still got problems and gaping holes in the midfield. We've still got problems with distribution from the midfield, holding the ball up. Like Adam said, we've just got issues that could be solved by bringing that a player in of that quality, because we're missing him. The only player we have is Matic, and he can't play more than 60 minutes. He really can't. I've watched him play over 60 minutes recently, and he does. His legs do go, and he's not that quality player after that amount of time. And I just think you can't be relying on a person like that to be playing week in, week out. So to say that you've got a full position missing in your squad is actually quite a big deal. I mean, if we had if we had a centre forward missing in our squad, people would be absolutely fuming about it. I mean, we are basically missing a CDM, and I just think it's hard for Rangnick to try and put Paul Pogba in this team. I think he will do it, but it's going to be hard. And plus, coming into the summer, you've got whatever manager it's going to be, whether it's Rangnick dealing with it as a superior figure, whether it is Rangnick himself that does get an extended stay, it's going to be a massive, massive summer, because there are a lot of players that are going to leave, and there's a lot of positions that we're short in as well. And getting a midfielder in this January to help with that top 4 race, and also to establish them into the summer and improve them in the summer and establishing them into the team, as well as getting another CDM, because I think that's how short we are, would have been the move to go to. I mean, any injuries that we have, if we have any injuries now, it's going to be a very tough job, and it'd be a tough job for anyone, and it is going to be a tough job for Rangnick. So like Levin said, you do have to see that, and you have to take that into consideration as well. But so far, with the way he's handled the team and the improvements that are made, I'm quite happy with it, to be honest, because I do think the club and the team were in serious distress when he took it over. I really do. I think there's a lot more work that he's done than that people do realise, and finally we're starting to see a slight corner be turned, but there's a long way to go, and I do think we'll see a lot more improvements towards the end of the season, despite the fact he's not got all the tools that he wanted. And for me, he has got an arm tied around his back, because that midfield just is not good enough for us to be getting top 4, in my opinion. Where if he does that, then hats off to him. But it's going to be hard. It's a very disjointed team without that position in it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking there about the Phil Jones Bordeaux deal collapsing. We don't know why it's collapsed. I wonder if it's collapsed because United haven't got anybody to actually work on any deals at the moment, because they're too busy working on something else that's happened today.
He went for a medical.
Yeah. What do you mean he's got to do a medical? I think we were gifting them him anyway. I don't think there was any loan fee. I think it was literally just go and play some football, Phil. That's what I'd heard. But maybe, who knows? Levin, Zakaria has gone to Juventus. Kamara's not gone anywhere yet. I still think there's a deal for Kamara somewhere tomorrow. I don't think it'll be United. I think it might be Kamara to somewhere else. But there's a story tonight about Basuma and Spurs and Villa and United being interested again. I mean, maybe Villa have been interested in Basuma all summer, all January. Maybe Villa can pull that off. I don't think we're going to pull it off. We didn't follow through on the Zakaria interest. I don't expect us to follow through on the Kamara interest. Does that disappoint you from this month, when there has been midfield options available with not as much work as you might think, like a Declan Rice or a Ruben Neves? You'd expect that to be difficult in a January, but a Kamara or a Zakaria, they were very much deals that can be done, and obviously Juventus have done that Zakaria deal.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people were, a bit frustrated with Zakaria, especially because of the price, right? You look at the price point and you go, 4 million, like, I wonder how much they paid to Ronaldo in a week in wages, right? Maybe just say, Ronaldo, just take a pay cut this week and let's bring in someone to help you out. I think the big thing with, any sort of deal we're going to do is there has to be planning there has to be strategy there. And so, I did a video about Kamara where I basically said, I like Kamara. Kamara as a prospect is a great prospect. He's technically secure, very intelligent defender, right? Like, he's not a physical freak, right? Like, he's not very athletic, but he uses his body very well, all these things, right? But he still has to improve, right? As any of the young prospects out there. And I said, my biggest worry with us getting the Kamara is that right now, he's not exactly what we need in midfield. He will eventually get there. I have no doubt in my mind that at some point in Kamara's career, he's going to be considered one of the best sixes. But you bring him into this environment at Man United right now, all the pressure in the world. Comes in and he's seen as the guy that has to be the McFred killer, the savior of our team. And he's not quite ready for that yet. He's still young. He still needs time to help him develop. And that's why, when I see him linked to other places like a Liverpool or a City or wherever I go, that probably would be better for him, just because, right, he's the understudy to a Rodri, the understudy to a Fabinho, less pressure there. He gets to bed himself in. And I think that could be a problem for him, moving forward. In terms of Kamara, in terms of Basuma, yeah, like, I'd be worried if Villa get him, because they've really backed Gerrard, and he's brought in some players that I think are quite good. He had a player at Rangers called Kamara as well, actually, which is funny. And I think Basuma would be his sort of Kamara, like a player that's very important to the system he wants to play. So if they get Basuma, I'd be very concerned. But like I said, I'm always not surprised we've not gone in for anybody. Like, it's just, it's the same old with us, right? We know we need a midfielder, but what are Man United going to do? They're always going to do this, aren't they?
I think you make a great point though, Levin, because I think that you know, the longer we don't bring the midfielder in, the harder the profile is. Because you know, I think we'd all take Kamara. I quite like Zakaria. I think he's a bit older. I think he could have worked, but it's like we're all any midfielder we bring in. You like quite rightly say it's the McFred killer, isn't it? Like there is no patience to grow. You've got to come in and be that player. And I mean, who is that player? Like, you know, that's probably why the name Declan Rice gets floated around, because it's like, well, he's a captain at West Ham. He's Premier League proven. You know, maybe a Ruben Neves. Maybe that's maybe I don't actually trust that that's what United are thinking. I don't think United think that deep, but I do think that, you know, bringing a player in and expecting them to just land and take over that midfield is a difficult task, and it gets difficulter by the month, really.
Yeah, and that's a problem that we've had at United for a while now. Even if you look at the difference in how players are treated this season in terms of signings. At City, everybody has an understanding that with Grealish, this first year is not the year to judge him, right? You know, it always takes City players a year or so to get in. If we were judging City players based on their first year, people would have said Rodri's a flop, Cancelo's a flop, you know, Sane to an extent back in the day, you would have said he's a flop. But people understand, yeah, give him a season, whatever. With Sancho, people are already calling Sancho a flop, right? With United players, they come in, and the expectation is instantly you have an impact. And if anything, right, it doesn't help. And I'm not saying this is a bad thing. Of course, I was happy when it happened. But Bruno coming in and lighting the world on fire, that definitely didn't help now, because that even then added that extra expectation of any player that comes in, you have to come in and have an instant impact. And that's just not the case with everybody and with different positions. So in terms of who is the person that comes in and they can handle that pressure that is going to be on them, because whatever midfielder it is, the pressure that they will have on them is beyond anything that anyone else in the squad has, in terms of just the expectation, the eyes on them. Whoever that person's going to be, I'm not sure. I think you're probably right in saying that's why Declan Rice is one of the people that's always mentioned, because he does seem to have a bit of character about him. But yeah, it's not an easy situation to be in. And I want to clarify as well, I'm not saying I wouldn't get Kamara. Like I would, like I've repeated it before. Kamara's a great prospect. He has a high ceiling, and I would bring him in if I had that power. But my biggest fear would just be the way it would be too easy for it to flop, because there'd be so much pressure on him, and he still needs to improve. If you watch Kamara a lot at Marseille, there's still areas of his game he needs to improve at, and he'd have problems at United. There's problems that are very obvious he'd have if he was to move in right now today. And I just don't think our fan base would be very forgiving to those issues, which will always affect a player badly.
Yeah, and I think with Kamara or Zakaria, I think I've spoken about it a few times this month when it could have been a possibility, was that, yeah, I think the attraction for me was that bringing them in would have given us more options, and it might, you know, be a case that they would be better than McTominay and Fred quite quickly. But certainly I don't think they would ever have been the signings that you drop them into the team and everything's solved. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. And I think with Villa as well, if they did get a Basuma, even if they got a Basuma tomorrow, they're not a problem for now. They're too far behind us, but they're definitely a problem for next season. And, you know, we've spoken a lot tonight, certainly when it was just me and Adam at the start, about United need to look long-term. And especially if they're going to have to replace somebody like Mason Greenwood long-term, they've got to look long-term. And when I look long-term, obviously, I see Man City, Chelsea and Liverpool a long way ahead, and we see immediate threat from West Ham and Arsenal and Spurs. But I also see Newcastle and I see Aston Villa as two clubs that are very ambitious. And, you know, Villa can't do anything to us this year because they're too far behind. But next year, on a level playing field, they might be able to. Anyway, let's look a little bit more short-term, Adam. What are we thinking then for the next few weeks and months with Manchester United? We've got, by the time we do the next Sunday show, next Sunday, we will have played a game against Borough, and we'll be 2 days away from Burnley, and then we'll be going into games every 3 or 4 days. We're in fourth at the moment. We're in the Champions League at the moment, and we're in the FA Cup at the moment. We're unless we get a real surprise tomorrow, we know what we're gonna go into it with the squad. It's a good time to say, what are your thoughts and predictions for the next few months to the end of the season? Because there's no transfer window to save us. You know, when we do this at the start of the season, people go, "Oh, we've got the January transfer window." Well, we haven't got that anymore. We know what we've got. We know what we're in. We know what's ahead of us. How confident are you that we'll do what needs to be done?
Yeah, it's because Beth and Levin have done it. There's my wave that people were asking for in the comments section.
It's Kev who started it off.
Everybody want to wave.
Van Cam Kev, I saw him in there.
Yeah, Kev, you set it all going again, mate. In terms of what we've got right now, you look at it, and we spoke before about February being jam-packed with fixtures. I think February is pivotal to the outlook for the rest of the season, because once we hit March, the big games are coming out, and the ones that we're really worrying about. So
March is hard, Adam, but it's a bit of a pound land February, because February's just got loads of games. Then March has got 3 or 4 because it's got an international break in it, but they're all hard. So I think March might not win a game, but February, I mean, I'll get
this is it. Let's make hay while the sun shines in February. Well, you would hope. I would expect us to beat Middlesbrough at home, and I expect us with our record.
Very generous of you to say we'll beat Middlesbrough at home.
Yeah, pushing the boat out straight away there. Quite on that one. Pretty wrong from the club to charge the Middlesbrough fans what they are charging them for FA Cup tickets as well. God. But beat Middlesbrough. Our record at Turf Moor, very good. I expect us to beat Burnley. And then we're into the home game, and I think it's Southampton and Brighton, the rescheduled game. So 2 games a week. We talked about the strength and depth that's not it's not quite there now with all these games coming up. Going to be interesting. And like I said, the players like Pogba, players like Rashford, the players that have been coming under the criticism so long, these are the ones the fans are probably going to look towards to go, we need something more. Sancho coming back will be a big help. And refreshed, you'd expect these players to go into this full bore now with the bit between the teeth. Obviously, the tough one is the away trip to Atletico at the end of the month. And I think that's the one we're all looking to as like the big tests, like the proper tactical outfit that Simeone is going to bring. And that will be a very tough game. I see us going through it. And on paper, we've said it many times, like you said before, Mark. You look at it and go, yeah, there's 15 points. No problem. We should be doing that. It doesn't work with United. It is a game-by-game outlook. That's the only way I can look at it right now. I do expect us to win the next 3 Premier League games and the FA Cup game, though. So I could look to about halfway through February and go, I think we can beat Burnley, Southampton and Brighton and beat Middlesbrough in the FA Cup. And that would put us on a run of probably our longest winning run that we've had all season. And maybe a bit of confidence creeps back into the team. And honestly, it's hard to say, because then when March comes, like you said, that's when you start to struggle. Because even with us firing, I think we're struggling against the teams we've got coming up there. I don't see us beating City and Liverpool, just different levels. How many points can we make up in this next couple of weeks before the big games come around? How far can we get ourselves tucked in there? Because we are going to need a little bit of breathing space with them bigger games coming up, just in case they do go completely south. So, yeah, like I said there, I'm not overly concerned with February. I think the squad's good enough to get through that. And then less games in March may benefit us a little bit. And then you're into adrenaline time, aren't you, towards the back end of the season, then April and May, and squeaky bum time. So adrenaline should take us through that bit. And it's all great, mate. We're in the FA Cup, we're in the top 4, in the Champions League. I don't know what everyone's moaning about. It's a positive outlook. And we do have to concentrate on matters on the pitch. If things go well on the pitch, it takes the limelight off the parts of this club that we don't want it shining on. So I think it's down on the players now have to really step up. And like I said before, mate, that siege mentality we talked about, I think we're going to get some of that. I think we'll see a reaction. I think the players will come together. I'd be disappointed if they didn't. I really would. I do expect it. Yeah, I think it should bring them together. It should. I can't see anything else happening, but we will see, mate. Stranger things have happened.
Beth, I mean, one thing I didn't say there to Adam was that Chelsea don't hardly play in February. And if we were to win these games that we've got, I think we actually would go second. We'd end up everyone behind us would end up with about 10 games in hand. But you've got the points. You've got the points.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, Beth? And Levin's having a good old laugh there. The chat's.
Someone told me to blow a kiss. I'm not blowing. I'll wave. I'm not blowing a kiss.
Oh,
this is turning into an OnlyFans. You know, this
No,
is
it's not
grooming.
turning into an
You start off
OnlyFans.
with a wave, you blow a kiss, the next thing's you're naked from the waist up. You know, they're just grooming us all here. We're all being bloody groomed for an OnlyFans. Beth, I'm going to be. So, are we going to get top 4? How far do you think we'll go in the FA Cup, and how far do you think we'll go in the Champions League? And give us your reasons why. Are you feeling confident between now and May?
Oh, don't put me on this spot again.
They're all going to do it.
I'll have answers coming back to me for months, won't I? But
we're going to win the league.
Yeah,
no.
Say we're going to win the league.
No,
yeah.
but you know what though? I actually, despite how poor we have been this season, it has been a write-off season for Manchester United. It's been painful. It's been not good to watch. It hasn't been a good season. We are still in the FA Cup, and then we are still in the Champions League. Champions League, Atletico Madrid. I mean, tough game. It's going to be a very, very tough game, and that is what you judge us on. And do you know what? We get past Atletico Madrid, and you start
and
thinking,
we get knocked out.
No.
We're fucked against anyone
I've seen. I think it's if we beat Atletico, we either get Villarreal or Juventus in the next draw. If I'm correct on that, I saw that somewhere.
No, it's another draw.
Pardon?
It's not pre-planned, is it? I'm sure they go back in the hat.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought I saw that on Twitter. Never mind.
It's only the semi-final to do that. Yeah. No, we're back in the hat. We're back in the hat.
There are options if, depending on what team we get. I mean, I'm not going out and saying Manchester United are going to go and win the Champions League because that's not going to happen. But if the team got to a far stage in the Champions League, which it has got the potential to do so, I do think that does build a lot of confidence. And I think that would be a good run for Manchester United. I mean, I'm not saying we're going to win the Champions League, but I do think there's a possibility we could beat Atletico. And then if you get someone decent in the next round, you can beat them as well and you get further in the competition. So I do expect us to get quite far in the competition.
Michael Owen here. If you win one game, you go through.
No, but
you could win another game, and then if you win that game, you could win that game.
I expect us to get quite far in the Champions League. I do. Obviously,
there you go. I've got you to commit now. We're going far in the Champions
League.
No,
I do. I expect us to get quite far, and I do think we will beat Atletico actually.
We're going to get top 4 then.
Yeah, I think we will get top 4 as well.
Oh, good. This is all positive. I like it.
Yeah.
We're going to win the FA Cup as well.
Well, I've got to say what I think, and I do think we are going to get top 4. I think Spurs are a big competition. I think Arsenal are a big competition. But I think when it comes down to it, I do think we will get the 4th spot. And with the FA Cup, I mean, we've got as good a chance as anyone, but City's still in the FA Cup. They are, aren't they? Not won the Carabao Cup. I don't see us winning any trophies this season, to be honest with you. I really don't. But I expect us to get far in both competitions, and I expect us to get top 4. I mean, and what is wrong with that? That team has full capabilities, and we're improving each game.
Hey, yeah,
and like you said, in February we've got a very good run of fixtures to build confidence. And I do think when you get players out of the team that aren't on board with the plan, it helps with confidence, it helps with morale, and it helps with the team going forward. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with saying that I expect us to still kind of make a decent season out of something that's been horrendous, because I would expect the Manchester United squad to get top 4. 100% I would. I would have expected us to do more at the start of the season, and I do expect us to get top 4 now. Well, yeah, I do expect that, but that's not happened, does it? Do you know what? I'm always very positive when speaking about Manchester United, and I will not ever be that person that comes on and just is very, very negative about it. And
but do you believe it in your heart, though?
You've got to be hopeful.
But do you believe in your heart, Beth?
I do believe we'll get top 4.
Deep down in your heart, you believe we'll get top 4.
Does no one else here think that we'll get top 4?
No, I'm with Beth
today. Positivity tonight.
I'm with Beth as well on that one.
Positivity.
We do. We need some positivity.
It wasn't laughing before. The comments were at us.
Right, I'm not being funny, but what is wrong with saying Manchester United can get far in 2 cup competitions with the squad that we've got?
No, I mean, standards are that we should be. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly, and I do think we'll be Atletico, and I do think that gives us.
We might become more of a team in a crisis. Sometimes that brings solidarity. Look at Rorke's Drift. There's a great film called Zulu about these Welsh soldiers who are going to get absolutely destroyed by thousands of Zulu warriors. And they
get me started on.
They all bloody they all get in a circle in a shed. I mean, I don't think it's true. I think it's completely made up because they would have got absolutely slaughtered.
On that, Mark, on that, mate, it's funny you should mention that because back at Christmas, we all talked about our favourite Christmas movies, and Ricky's was Zulu.
Yeah, he probably dreams about it every night.
I remember
Marshall. I dream about it every night. Listen up, I've got. It's not Rourke's drift, it's Ricky's drift, and it's me, Dan James, Marshall. Who else do I like? Luke Shaw.
3 banks of 6 in formation.
It's about the system. I'm telling you what. Watch that Rourke's drift. It's 1,000 against 10, but they've got a system. And they all know what they're doing. Anyway, Levin, what's happening?
But by the way, Levin, laughing at me in the corner. Look at the scoreboard for who's predicted the scores right the most this season.
What, are you on top?
Yeah, and you're don't chat to me, all right?
Yeah. Wow. Everybody, round of applause for Beth in the chat.
That is a very competitive. We have there's a lot of us in it. Everyone who works on United Stand, every United game, we have to get our score predictions in. And if you get the exact score, you get a lot of points. But if you get the right result, you still get points. And Beth is top, and that is no mean feat. It is very, very
impressive,
guys, because I never predict a loss, so I don't know how I'm top.
Yeah, Levin went into administration, I think, and got deducted points. He's that far behind, so that league table is destroying.
Wait, am I on the league table?
What's up?
Am I actually on the league table? Because I was going to say, I forgot to do it 1 week near the start of the season.
Yeah, it's
look at it. It should be on. I've literally not done it the whole season, but I didn't think I was on the table. I just thought I wasn't involved.
Come back, you are on the table, mate.
Should I do a Rooney? Just bring it back. I can do that. I mean, the last couple of score predictions have been on point. Just saying.
Not according to that.
Not according to that. True. I was just winding Beth up. What I will say is, our chances of getting top 4 have definitely improved, not just because of purely results. In terms of looking at how we've improved as a team, I've seen tangible improvement in the way we defended. That West Ham game was a very good start. I still think we need to improve in certain areas. I think our wide players need to be more involved in the press, and there needs to be tactical insurance and In possession, we still need to improve. And Rangnick's press conference after the game, that was the one thing he said. He said, look, defensively, one of our best performances since I've been here, we're still not finding the right solutions in attack, right? He talks about how last 20 minutes of the game, certain players lost their head, long shots flying in from everywhere. What are you guys doing, right? There were certain situations where someone didn't just get lazy, take a long shot, look for a forward pass. There was opportunities to actually, penetrate West Ham and maybe not have to get that late Rashford goal, right? So I'm seeing improvements. Rangnick obviously knows where we need to improve, and he's literally said it out for the whole world to hear. So as long as he continues to work and continue to do what he's been doing, yeah, we have enough quality to get there. I know we're tight now. We've lost certain players who maybe could have been of good help, but I really want to see what he does with Pogba. I think Pogba could be critical to how we do for the remainder of the season. I know some people don't like him, but you have to remember, if anything, if you've ever doubted, Pogba's commitment, this is the most committed he will ever be to the team, because he actually has to play well if he wants to get the mega contract that he wants in summer. So if you've ever thought to yourself, nah, Pogba, he never plays well, he doesn't try for United, this is he is there's no doubt in your mind now, he is trying now. Do you know what I mean? If you've ever doubted that. So yeah, I do think top 4 is possible. Champions League hopes. I always thought our team was probably better suited to the Champions League at the start of the season, just because we have big game players, big game winners. And obviously we still have those kind of players, but Europe's got some top opposition who I still think we're not quite there yet in terms of just the way we're playing. The way we're playing, I think, is good enough to beat a lot of the opposition we'll come up against in the Premier League in the next couple of months. But against some of Europe's elite, I don't see it right now. I do not see it. So,
yeah, I think I don't think we've got a cat and mouse chance of the Champions League. If we get through Atletico Madrid, we're going out in the quarterfinals. FA Cup, I mean, it's all about the draw. If we can avoid difficult games and just play one of Man City, Chelsea, Liverpool in the final, we've got a chance. But if we catch one of them twice, I think we're going out. And top 4, I really do think it comes down to if Spurs are Spurs, Arsenal are Arsenal, and West Ham are West Ham. If one of those teams gets 67 points, we won't get top 4. I think it really just comes down to them 3 teams. I think top 4 is ours, whether we want it or not, and of course we do want it, because I just think so many times it's like Leicester, isn't it? They just don't have the enough, and we've got enough, I think, to get through. And I do like what Adam said about the camaraderie. If this can't unite these players, nothing ever will. So I think we're in for a make or break next few months, and if they don't make it, then we need to ship a lot of them out, because they really need to be coming together. And look, one thing is that Sancho should actually start playing week in, week out on the right wing. And I think we've seen it with Delo. I just think Jadon Sancho, he might play crap for the first 2 or 3 games, but just keep playing him on that right wing. And I think we'll really start to get him. Dortmund had this problem all the time. Like, he used to start seasons slow, and people would go, he's shit. And then he just gets into a groove. And that's what we need to do with Sancho. We've just got to get him into that groove and just play him right wing every week and see what happens. But yeah. Adam, just very quickly, what you didn't actually say top 4, whether we'd get top 4, how far we'd go in the Cup and the Champions League.
Did I not? No.
You just rambled on and on and on and on about.
I know. I kind of do that when I'm trying to avoid the actual question, but no, I'll go in. I reckon we'll win the FA Cup. We'll get quarter-final Champions League. I think we'll beat Atletico, and I think we will make top 4. I just look at it and I go, the more I think about it, the more I look at the players. Pogba coming back, Sancho coming in. We don't need to force people into that right-hand side now. We've got pieces of a jigsaw puzzle which should just slot in place. I think we've got positions all over. And that sort of siege mentality, I think that has to come through, and that's what's giving me hope. That's what is giving me hope. But I look at it also as another positive on top of that. If it didn't go right, and I'm not saying that's good, like you said then, at least we'll know what we can get rid of in the summer. And the new manager will get that clean slate that he's looking for. And hopefully everything that we've saved in not spending money now goes in to a proper structure, and everything that we need to build on can be put in place earlier, and we can actually look like we know what we're doing. I think one way or the other, like you said, good or bad, looking at it in a long-term perspective is the best way, because we may not make top 4, but at least we'll know what we need to change in the summer then. And at least we know what players aren't good enough. And if we do it properly, with Ralph going upstairs and a new manager coming in, then there's no excuse for us to use this as the opportunity to clear the slate and start building properly, because we're seeing little bits and little signs. I think right now, there's no better time for us to just go and start again. But I do think we're going to get that reaction. I don't know why it keeps coming in. I'm just thinking something's going to happen now. Of all the crap that's gone on this last few months of the season, and you probably see me outside sulking on a fan vlog now because I got it all wrong. But it's just the way I am. It's been too long without a game, and too much has gone on. So the optimism's starting to build up, and the excitement's coming back again. I can feel it, and I'm just like, I'm just an idiot. But I can't help it. I feel like these players owe me. And
international breaks do this to people.
They do. They fill you with that weird optimism that shouldn't actually be there. But anyway, we're still in the top 4 now. We're still in all the competitions. So let's just think of it like that and go forward from there.
I tell you what, it might be a bit too soon for people, but we've ended up with a bit of positivity there, which is nice. And look, this might be a little bit too soon, but it's totally coming from a football place. One of the things that frustrated Ricky, and I think it frustrated me a lot, was that when we played Ronaldo with Rashford and Greenwood as the wingers, he gets no service. Well, look, Greenwood's not going to be playing, certainly not going to be playing against Burnley, and probably not going to be playing for a little bit longer than that, maybe a long time. We'll be forced to use a winger in Sancho that's more creative, which should benefit Cavani and Ronaldo. So I know that's not much of a conversation that anyone wants to have at the moment because it's football related and it's tactical, but one of the things we've got to do is make more service for Ronaldo. Well, if Sancho's going to play more on the right and Pogba's going to come back in, they're both creative players, which we haven't had. So maybe there's reason for optimism there, but we will see. Right, thanks for coming on, everybody, today. Thanks, Beth.
Yeah, it's good to be back, and hopefully we get that transfer within the next 24 hours. I mean, I'll try and use all my optimism I've got to get us that transfer.
Yeah, that reminds me, actually, I think we're all on tomorrow at some point. We've got a long stream tomorrow. I think we're kicking off with the morning show and then something like 1 through till close. We'll be doing various shifts through the day. I'm sure we'll be having a bit of a laugh and stuff, but we might end up playing Kaplunk or something like that, or Uno, because realistically, how many more times can we say we're not going to do anything? But
I think we'll be blowing about 1,000 kisses.
Yeah, I'm going to have a mad day.
Yeah.
Just to warn you all, and you lot as well, it is a United Stand transfer deadline day show tomorrow. But we're going slow sparks news. No, we're not. We're not all wearing a yellow tie, but we are going to do it in a way where we're looking at everybody else as well. Because obviously, if Spurs do business, Arsenal, West Ham, teams around us might be loaned. So we will be keeping you up to date with most of the Premier League transfers as well. Because I think, sod it, we may as well fill a bit of time if United are going to do sod all. But you know what? Actually, there's going to be stuff to talk tomorrow anyway, as we know from what's happened today. There will be stuff from that as well. But Levin, thanks very much for coming on, pal.
Thank you for having me. I don't know how this turned into ask Levin to do random things and chat. But
don't fall for it. They're grooming you, mate. I'm telling you.
Look. At least with OnlyFans, there's the money coming in. You can't just be asking me to do a madness out here for nothing. What?
You could do like all sorts and make money on OnlyFans then.
I'm not kidding. I've genuinely had somebody who said they'd pay me to read them bedtime stories. I turned it down. I turned it down.
What are they doing in the bed? And do you have to be in the bedroom, or is it a recording?
No, you're getting into details and specifics here, Mark. Are you interested? Is this what you?
No. I'm just wondering. My innocent mind's thinking they want Levin to record reading, I don't know, Dan Brown, the Da Vinci Code, and send him the recording. But God knows what they might be doing something in their bedroom and getting you to read something very different to Dan Brown. Just don't know.
How have we got here?
Oh, God.
Thanks for coming on, Adam.
Yeah, nothing to say, but yeah, cheers as always.
We will be back tomorrow. Be a long, good day tomorrow. We're talking about lots of different things, but look, today is a day I think most of us just want to put away and see what tomorrow brings. But thanks everyone for spending it with us. It's been nice to talk about some positive things like maybe winning the Champions League or the FA Cup or getting top 4. But we will see what happens and what tomorrow brings. What we've learned is you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. So enjoy today. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll speak to you all in a bit.